The way the music industry is structured today, you're lucky if you write just one song that reaches the charts. But imagine what would have to happen for you to stay there for 15 years, to sell 80 million records and to become one of the most successful bands in the world. This doesn't happen just like that. There's clearly a concept behind all of this that's worth analyzing. So today, we are taking a look at Coldplay. 7 albums, 45 singles. It's hard to be around this long and not somehow change, whether that's from a marketing standpoint or artistic boredom. Starting out as a post-Britpop band, Coldplay went through an alternative rock phase, then art rock, and now pop. While their early image mostly revolved around depression and dealing with one's emotions, their later work shifted its attention outwards. As with 21 Pilots, they started to use their angst for good. And so frontman Chris Martin changes from lonely outsider to philanthropist. In interviews, he strikes a new tone. I don't want to go through the whole of my life feeling shitty about myself, because it's not making anyone happy. This shift in image and personal creed can be seen in their new videos as well. The colors get brighter and connecting people from around the world becomes the core philosophy of the band. Now 10% of everything Coldplay makes goes to charity, and the band is connected to Oxfam, Amnesty International, and Teenage Cancer Trust. Coldplay's focus has gone from Chris Martin's personal problems to politics and humanity. And with this focus change, the music changes as well. Brian Eno takes over as a producer and introduces the anthemic sound we associate with Coldplay today. Viva La Vida adds an orchestra to the band sound. Long reverb tails remind the listener of a message reverberating around the world. The band goes from garage band to stadium rockers. What's easy to forget is that at the core of it is still that same singer with the same predispositions towards certain melodies. So let's start with what hasn't changed. Listening to Coldplay's singles of the past 20 years, to me, 2 things stick out right away. Chris tends to start his melodies on the major third, and he often follows it up by a descending line. Listen to this.
And rusting in the rubble, I used to rule the world. Keep on what you want. Look at the stars, look how they shine for you. Fixing up a car, driving it again, searching for the water, hoping for the rain. Stole a key. How long before I get in my place?
So what does this mean? The major third is a warm, happy interval, whereas descending lines have the opposite effect. They give a melody a darker sound than stationary or ascending lines. In an interview with the German paper Der Spiegel, Chris said something that reflects this way of writing melodies. You have to consider the tragic events going on in the world, but at the same time, you have to ask yourself, where's the good? It's this mix of happy and sad that we hear a lot in Coldplay's writing, and I believe it's one of the reasons why so many people can enjoy these tunes. Here's another example. Listen carefully.
Come up to meet you, tell you I'm sorry.
Okay, let's see if you paid attention. Was what you just heard in major or minor? Pause the video now to figure that out on your own. If you're like me, you probably said that The Scientist is in major. And of course, we'd both be wrong. Listen again.
Come up to meet you, tell you I'm sorry.
I'll tell you why you were wrong. Look at the melody here. Chris sings the major triad of the relative major key. I call this an implied chord, when the melody begins to outline chords of its own. If you're a jazz player, you'd probably just go ahead and call this an upper structure, but to me, that's just not what it sounds like. The Scientist sounds like a song in major. Now, Chris has gone on record saying that he can't read music, but what if it's this mix of happy and sad that spoke to him when he wrote the melody for The Scientist? For my last videos, I've gotten some comments from people saying they're sure that artists don't think about which scale degrees they're using in their songs. And I agree with that to a certain extent. But isn't it possible, or even likely, that we make musical choices subconsciously depending on our personality and emotions? In the case of Coldplay, we know that Chris wasn't aware of which scale degrees he was singing, but still we get something that fits his character. Just like in this interview on BBC where Chris was asked to come up with songs on the fly based on intentionally boring lyrics. Even in their rough shapes, the first melodies that spring from this are very much Coldplay.
It was a gorgeous day, everything's going my way.
But then Chris eases up and starts joking around more, and naturally, his melodies begin to revolve around the first scale degree. Listen to this. As Chris focuses more on a punchline, his melodies also start sounding funnier and less like Coldplay.
My wife said, Tom, you look so scary.
In other words, whether artists are using certain scale degrees consciously or unconsciously doesn't really matter for our discussion. There's another aspect of Coldplay's more recent image I want to talk about, and that is colorfulness, which here symbolizes diversity and acceptance. Their recent album covers reflect this, as do their live shows and music videos. And again, there's a musical pendant. Martin's melodies use the full major scale and frequently linger on its most colorful notes, the 2, 6, and major 7. This is unusual in pop music and plays a huge part in Coldplay's sound.
Try your best, but you don't succeed. I don't care, go on and tear me apart. How long must you wait for?
One of the arguments I often hear against creating an image for yourself is that it'll only put you in a corner. It's seen as a creative castration of some sorts. But as you can see with Coldplay, an image doesn't have to limit you. See it as a plan, an idea you have of yourself. See where it takes you. You'll be wiser when you're writing your second album. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more like it, please like, share, and subscribe, and also leave a comment down below telling me which artist you'd like me to do next. We have 6 more episodes to go until the season finale, then the rules change, so choose wisely, my friends. This is Friedemann from Holistic Songwriting, and thanks for watching.